You're making one of life's most dangerous mistakes. You're pitying those who shouldn't be pitied. You think you're being kind, but in reality, you're feeding someone else's weakness with your own strength, giving away, drop by drop, what should belong only to you. At first glance, pity seems like a natural impulse of the human heart. We see someone else's pain, hear their complaints, and it seems like the only thing we can do is pity, offer a kind word, offer temporary comfort. But what appears to be kindness too often turns out to be a subtle, sophisticated form of weakness. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between genuine compassion and destructive pity. Compassion can support a person in their struggle, but pity turns them into someone who no longer wants to fight. The Stoics emphasized that emotions should not be masters, but servants. When we pity thoughtlessly, we put a weapon in the hands of others against ourselves, pushing people into even greater dependence on someone else. And most dangerously, we ourselves lose strength, allowing others to feed on our energy, our resources, our softness. Where pity becomes a habit, a vicious circle of weakness and deception is born. There are people who are truly worth supporting. They fight, they seek a way out, they take steps forward despite the pain. But there are others, those for whom pity has become a drug. It cements their victimhood, gives them a weapon of manipulation, makes you feel guilty, and does for them what they should have done for themselves long ago. Such people should not be pitied, not because we are cruel, but because in their case, pity becomes destructive for both them and us. Stoicism demands honesty, and honesty sometimes sounds harsher than the harshest words. You must learn to say to yourself, "Here my pity doesn't save, here it kills." And in that moment, choose cold clarity over warm, cozy illusion. But for this to become a reality, it's important to clearly understand who exactly shouldn't be pitied. Because there are people who use pity as a mask, as a cover, as a tool that allows them to remain forever in their own weakness. The first category is those who consciously choose to be victims. There are people who turn their own weakness into their main argument in life. They seek excuses for inaction, but they don't seek a way out. Their words are full of complaints, and their actions are emptiness and stagnation. And every time you pity them, it's as if you're confirming, yes, you are a victim, and that's your truth. Stoicism teaches that even in the most difficult circumstances, a person retains the freedom to choose how to react and what to do. But the victim voluntarily gives up this freedom. They find it more comfortable to live in pain. After all, pain attracts attention and evokes compassion. For them, pity becomes not a medicine, but a narcotic. You think you're extending a helping hand, but in reality, you're tightening her grip. Pity gives her the illusion of importance, a reason to complain again and again, and again, nothing changes. She drains your energy, your time, your soul, and doesn't budge an inch. The more you pity her, the deeper she burrows into her habitual role as the sufferer. True compassion in such a situation is a refusal to play by her rules. You can offer her a choice. Take action or remain in pain, but without your support. It's harsh, but it's precisely this cold blow that can make her see the truth. Stoicism requires strength not when it's easy, but when you have to go against your own soft feelings. To pity a victim is to destroy their future. To absolve them of responsibility is to rob them of their chance to grow. That's why a Stoic rejects pity where it weakens a person. And if you want to preserve yourself and not allow others to drain your energy, you must learn to be firm. And this is just the beginning, because there are people who use pity even more subtly, not as a habit, but as a weapon. They hide behind hypocrisy and manipulation. It is these people that we will discuss further. The second category is manipulators. There are people who don't directly ask for pity. They know how to elicit it subtly, sophisticatedly. Their words are full of hints. Their actions are calculated in advance. Their image is crafted down to the smallest detail. They may appear modest, even miserable, but behind this mask lies a cold calculation. They don't need your support. They need control over you so that your energy and resources flow in their direction. A manipulator understands perfectly well. Pity is the fastest way to someone's heart. It disarms, deprives you of clarity, makes you vulnerable. You begin to help not because it's truly needed, but because you're being manipulated. You cease to be the master of your own decisions and become a pawn in someone else's game. The Stoics warned, the most dangerous enemy is not the one who attacks openly, but the one who knows how to penetrate your soul. The hypocrite plays on your best qualities to turn them against you. He knows that you value kindness, that you find it difficult to ignore the pain of others, and he turns this trait into his own strength. In his hands, pity becomes not support, but a weapon. You think you've saved someone, but in reality, you've become attached to a person who feeds on your weakness. With each passing moment, his requests will grow, his troubles will sound ever louder, and your guilt will deepen. And one day, you'll discover you're living someone else's life instead of your own. Stoicism teaches you to keep your heart open and your mind cool. You can help those who truly need it, but you must see through those who are just playing around. Pity must be born of truth, not illusion. And when you're faced with a hypocrite, the right response is not softness, but firmness. To pity a manipulator is to voluntarily give them power over you. To succumb to their game is to acknowledge yourself as their tool. This is where you need to say, no, my pity is not for your masks. This is the strength of the Stoic, not allowing others' roles to dictate your choices. If the victim uses pity to avoid responsibility, the manipulator uses it to take away your freedom. But there's an even more destructive category: those who deliberately destroy themselves. The third category is those who choose self-destruction. You can forgive ignorance, but you can't pity those who understand perfectly well that they are destroying themselves, and continue to do so. They know the cost of every step, and yet they still walk toward the abyss. There is no innocence in their eyes. There is a choice. The choice of fall, which they make again and again. Alcohol, gambling, idleness, perpetual laziness. They cling to these as if they were their own identity. They lament their troubles, but in reality, they want not help but justification. Their complaints sound like a plea. Let me fall again. Cover my weakness with your kindness. In this case, pity becomes fuel for destruction. You think you're supporting them, but in reality, you're prolonging their agony. You become part of their addiction, part of their choice, and over time, you find yourself wasting your own life on those who have abandoned it. Stoicism teaches us to help only those who truly want to rise. And those who drag you down must be met with firmness and coldness. After all, every time you pity them, you're cushioning their fall, softening the pain, and thereby depriving them of a chance to awaken. True strength here is to stop and say, enough, I will not cover up your destruction. This decision is not about cruelty, but about justice. After all, your energy should be spent on living, not on complicity in the destruction of another's soul. If victims seek pity for justification and manipulators for control, then this category seeks pity to further their own decline. But there are people who do even worse. They break not only themselves but others as well. It is to them that we turn next. The fourth category is traitors. Betrayal is a wound that never fully heals. You can forgive, you can learn to move on, you can even let go of the pain, but you can never restore the trust that was broken. The person who betrayed you once revealed their true nature. Their choice will always weigh more heavily than your faith in them. Pity in such a situation becomes not kindness, but weakness. When you pity a traitor, it's as if you're saying, your betrayal was acceptable. You're absolving them of responsibility and taking it upon yourself. But the traitor doesn't change from pity. They're merely receiving a signal that they can repeat it all over again. Stoicism teaches us to see things as they are, without illusions. And in the case of betrayal, the truth is always the same. It was a conscious choice. No one accidentally falls so deep as to destroy someone else's trust. No one betrays out of ignorance. And so, pity here doesn't lift a person up. It only opens the door to another blow. True strength lies not in revenge, but in the ability to preserve a cold heart where once there was warmth. A traitor doesn't need your pity, he needs your weakness. He'll find the right words, invent excuses, promise it won't happen again. But deep down, he already knows. If you pity him, you're ready to lose yourself again. Pitying a traitor isn't noble. It's self-betrayal. And if you want to remain strong, You mustn't let your heart dissolve in the complaints and tears of the one who once destroyed your faith. But there are people even more insidious than traitors, those who don't even seek your pity, because they despise the very idea of weakness. They look down on you. It's them that we'll talk about next. The fifth category is the proud and arrogant. How can you pity someone who despises weakness? A proud person doesn't ask for support. He views it as a handout. His heart is closed, his gaze filled with cold superiority. Try to pity him, and he won't accept it as kindness. He'll see it as a sign of your weakness and later turn it against you. An arrogant person always lives in the illusion of their own power. They're convinced they're superior to others, and pity is a blow to their pride. Instead of gratitude, they'll respond with contempt. Your gentleness isn't helpful to them, but proof that you're inferior. Stoicism teaches us not to waste emotions where they become weapons against us. To pity a proud person is to surrender your strength to someone who will never appreciate it. They will accept your kindness only to later remind you of your weak heart, and in doing so, they will only strengthen their own arrogance. True strength lies in not wasting one's soul on those who are incapable of hearing it. The proud and arrogant need not pity, but a confrontation with reality. Pity closes this path for them because it deprives them of the opportunity to come face to face with the consequences of their own pride. That's why the Stoic remains cool when he watches the arrogant fall. He doesn't gloat, but he doesn't offer a shoulder to cry on either. He knows that sometimes the only way for a person to change is to feel the pain of their own fall, and pity robs them of that chance. Pity for the proud is not compassion, but a betrayal of justice. It doesn't save, but only strengthens them in their own exceptionalism. Therefore, a wise person maintains a strong heart and a calm distance. If traitors break trust and the proud despise gentleness, then the next category is the most dangerous of all, those who openly harm others. And here, pity turns not only into weakness but also into complicity. The sixth category is those who cause evil. To pity those who ruin others' lives is to become complicit in their evil. There are people for whom pain is a habitual tool. They live by oppressing, humiliating, and destroying. Their power is built on fear. Their joy is born from the tears of others. And when they suddenly show weakness, it's not a reason for pity, but an easy trap to fall into. Evil can skillfully wear masks. An aggressor can appear helpless. A rapist can talk about their plight. A tyrant can cry because no one understands them. But the tears of such people are part of the show. They seek pity not to change, but to justify their actions. Stoicism teaches that justice is superior to pity, for pity for the wicked is injustice to their victims. By pitying the one who has caused pain, you indirectly tell their victims, your pain is not as important as their justification, and thus you deprive the weak of the right to justice. True kindness lies in maintaining boundaries where another's evil begins. To pity the wicked is to give them another chance to destroy. You extend your hand not to save, but so that they can rise again and strike again. And there is no mercy in this, only weakness. A Stoic keeps a cold heart toward those who have chosen the path of destruction. He wastes no pity on those who feed on the suffering of others. It is more important for him to protect those who suffer than to pity those who cause them. This is where true wisdom lies, distinguishing between gentleness and iron firmness. Evil always counts on the good man to waver and repent. But where the weak succumb to pity, the strong retain clarity. That's why a Stoic never ally with a tyrant under the guise of mercy. His heart is open to justice, but closed to lies. If the proud despise your gentleness, the wicked seek it out to use as a weapon. But there are those who make an even more sophisticated choice. They deliberately display their impotence, turning it into an instrument of power. More on them later. The seventh category is those who play at weakness. Weakness can be genuine, or it can be artificial. Genuine weakness gives rise to a plea for help and a desire to rise. Artificial weakness turns into a carefully orchestrated performance. There are people who have learned to feign helplessness in order to control others. They appear miserable, speak quietly, and lower their eyes, but inside, they harbor a cold, calculating spirit. They know that pity opens doors where strength and honesty would never allow. This is one of the most dangerous forms of manipulation. You see tears and think there's someone in need of support. But behind those tears, there's no willingness to change. Only a desire to make you feel guilty and responsible. You reach out, and in that moment you find yourself in chains. You're being turned not into a friend or a savior, but into a tool. The Stoics knew how to recognize such masks. They said, one should look not at words and gestures, but at actions. True weakness seeks strength, false weakness seeks control. Without learning to distinguish one from the other, you risk becoming a slave to someone else's game. Those who use weakness as a weapon know exactly which strings to pull. Today, a pitiful look. Tomorrow, a story of a difficult life. The day after, a reproach for abandoning them in their hour of need. Step by step, you are made responsible for someone else's life. And the more you regret, the less freedom you have left. Pity bestowed upon such people becomes not a cure, but a chain. It prevents them from changing because they become accustomed to a comfortable role. There's no point in taking responsibility when there's always someone nearby who will accept your weakness as truth and do everything for you. That's why the Stoic remains steadfast after witnessing this game. He doesn't close his heart to those who are truly struggling, but he refuses to be drawn into someone else's performance. He knows that only those who are willing to help can be helped. Those who turn weakness into a weapon are stopped only by cold refusal. This is how true clarity is born, the ability to distinguish between someone in need of support and someone playing a role for power. And where most succumb to pity, the Stoic remains steadfast. But there are even more difficult cases, people who have received your pity many times before, and each time used it to fall into the same pit again. More on them later. The eighth category is chronic recidivists of trust. There are people for whom every new chance turns not into a path to change, but into a way to return to old mistakes. You give them trust, they break it. You forgive, they repeat the same. You pity them, and they only become more convinced that they can continue with impunity. Thus, pity turns not into support, but into fuel for their weakness. The Stoics said, to make a mistake once is natural, to make a mistake twice is dangerous, but to forgive endlessly is madness. When a person is presented with new opportunities time after time, they stop seeing the value in them. Your forgiveness becomes not a gift for them, but a habitual excuse, a tool that allows them to avoid consequences without changing. You may think you're being kind, but in reality, you're ruining their future. After all, if a person never feels the bottom, they'll never want to rise again. Pity absolves them of responsibility, and with it, any incentive to act. Every new chance becomes a noose that tightens ever tighter. True kindness is sometimes harsher than indifference, because saying enough, no more chances, isn't cruelty, but honesty. This is the moment when you stop feeding weakness and allow someone to face reality. A Stoic knows, growth begins precisely where excuses end. Pitying someone who has betrayed your trust many times over is like agreeing to an endless cycle. It's like adding water to a cracked vessel. No matter how much you pour, it will always remain empty, and you, too, become empty along with it. Therefore, the Stoic refuses to endlessly offer new opportunities to those who haven't taken advantage of the old ones. He doesn't hold grudges, but he maintains clarity. He understands that every opportunity has a price, and those who don't appreciate it don't deserve the next one. If victims seek pity for the sake of justification, manipulators for control, and the falsely weak for power, then this category is dangerous because it steals years from you. You think you're helping, but in reality you're wasting time, energy, and strength. And here, a firm no becomes the only true act of compassion. The ninth and final category are those for whom pity has become a way of life. This is the most obvious and perhaps the most important category. There are people who live as if the world owes them compassion. And it is for them that pity becomes especially destructive. Such people have made pity a part of their lives. They seem to feed on it like air and cannot exist without it. Their conversations constantly revolve around grievances, misfortunes, and injustices. Their faces rarely light up with joy, for joy destroys their main tool, the ability to evoke empathy. For them, pity isn't a random support, but a way of life. Every new day is a reason to complain. Every new interlocutor is a new victim who will have to listen to their stories. And the more often you pity them, the more firmly they become entrenched in this role. After all, pity gives them what they fear most: attention. Such people don't strive to change because pity brings them more than strength ever could. It absolves them of responsibility, provides excuses, and makes them the center of someone else's life. There's no point in growing if there's always someone nearby who'll pity you. There's no point in fighting if there's always someone nearby who'll lend a shoulder. Stoicism teaches, life is not about seeking pity, but about seeking strength. But those who have made pity a habit reject this path. They choose the role of perpetual sufferer rather than ever face their own weakness. That's why they cannot be pitied. Pity doesn't lift them up, it makes them even more dependent. It turns their life into an endless cycle of complaints, and yours into an endless cycle of sympathetic concern. And the longer you play this game, the harder it is to stop. True kindness lies in breaking this cycle, saying, enough, I won't feed your habit. It's harsh, but it's the only solution that leaves a chance for change. After all, a person won't change as long as pity makes their life comfortable. A Stoic remains cool where pity has become a way of life. He doesn't reject a person, he rejects their habit. He knows that pity should support, not destroy, the will. And where pity becomes a drug, a wise person chooses clarity and distance. To pity such people is to remain forever trapped in their world. Stoicism demands something different, to help the strong become stronger and the weak become more honest with themselves. And when pity ceases to be a feeling and becomes a way of life, the only true response is cold silence and a firm boundary. And here we come to the main point. After all, if there are so many categories of people who cannot be pitied, the fundamental question arises, what should we do ourselves? Stoicism answers simply, pity only those whom pity lifts, not destroys. Because pity without wisdom is weakness, but pity combined with clarity becomes strength. Pity isn't what we usually think it is. It can be a virtue or it can be a weakness. It can lift a person up or it can destroy them completely. Stoicism teaches, you can only help those who are ready to rise. But you can't sacrifice yourself for those who have turned pity into a mask or a weapon. Within each of us, there's a temptation to pity, to close our eyes, to say to ourselves, well, maybe this time things will be different. But a wise person understands that where pity feeds weakness, it turns into poison. True compassion doesn't remove responsibility, it restores it. And only those who are willing to accept it are worthy of your support. All these categories, victims, manipulators, self-destructive people, traitors, the arrogant, those who commit evil and live on the pity of others, are just different faces of the same truth. They cannot be pitied, because pity only makes them worse and robs you of your strength. True kindness is honesty, even if it sounds cold. And if you want to preserve yourself, your boundaries, and your inner strength, learn to say a firm no when someone tries to exploit your heart. After all, pitying everyone means pitying no one. Maintaining clarity means being strong. If these words resonate with you, if you want to learn to live with strength, clarity, and true freedom, subscribe to the channel. Here we explore what makes you stronger.